ist halt eine Sache, in Vrindavan riechen die Blumen und hier rotzen sie mit visueller Schönheit, aber ohne Geruch. Das ist so, glaube ich, ein Thema des Westens. Das ist so toll aus, genau hinschaut. Und dann fehlt die Essenz. Blumen sollten doch eigentlich duften.
Die sind genmanipuliert, dass sie lange halten, aber dafür geht der Duft raus. Sie weiß nicht.
So plötzlich so ein Dinosaurier als kriegt. Kein Problem. So, Krishna, guten Abend und herzlich willkommen zu unserer kleinen Bhagavad Gita-Vorlesung. Ja, lasst uns singen. Shila Vecharanaravinda Shila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaja Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Anand Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, ISKCON founder Acharya Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Namacharya Shila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se Gaur Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda ki jai, Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Mathura Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi Tulasi Devi ki jai, Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Vo Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki jai, Hari Vo Krishna. Let us greet our two guests from far away India, from our holy places, Puri Dham, Bhuvaneshwara Dham, Vrindavan Dham, every Dham, Vadavandanapur and Krishna. Thank you for coming and bringing happiness to our heart. You don't look very jet-lagged. You are already in Europe for some time, or?
We've been there like 2 months now.
2 months. Yeah, I can see that someone comes from India and goes and lands in Europe. They just go up so jet-lagged. Jet-lagged. Krishna. Good. So let us. I think I will speak in English, but let me just have a Feel, hearing. Wer von euch spricht jetzt kein Englisch oder nur so ein Hello Goodbye Englisch? Ich glaube, ihr sitzt sogar schon da, oder? Wer spricht von euch kein gutes Englisch? Ohne Schüchternheit einfach sagen. Ja, ich spreche auch kein gutes Englisch. Eine Person nur. Rajarani, wie ist dein Englisch? Ist eigentlich recht flott, oder? Recht entwickelt, ja. Gut. Ja, die meisten sprechen kein Englisch. Alright, so diejenigen von euch, die kein Englisch sprechen, gehen in die Übersetzerecke. Mit Jai Gopal wieder, den total hingegebenen Übersetzer. Oh, sorry. It was an intense day for me. I was just preaching from morning till now, and I will now do my best to continue. We will read from the Bhagavad Gita and quench our thirsty souls with the immortal words of Sri Krishna. Please help me. Which text is it? I think 7.7. 7.7. Yes, yesterday was 7.6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vasudevaya. Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Savam Vidam Protam Sutre Mani Ganaiva Mata Parataram Nanya Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvam Vidam Protam Sutre Mani Ganaiva Mata Parataram Nanya Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvam Vidam Protam Sutre Mani Ganaiva. Yes, please.
Mata Parataram Nanya Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Mani Ganaiva
Matara Parantaram Nanya Kinchit Asti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Mani Ganaiva
Matatis, bitte.
Mata Parataram Nanya Kinchidasti Dhananjaya Mayi Sarvam Idam Protam Sutre Mani Ganaiva
Right? Mataha. Beyond me. Parataram. Superior. Not. Anyat kinchit. Anything else. Asti. There is. Dhananjaya. Conqueror of wealth. In me. Sarvam. All that be. Idam. Which we see. Protam. Is strong. Sutre. On a thread. Manigana. Hers. Iva. Like. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as pearls are strung on a thread. Purport. There is a common controversy over whether the Supreme Absolute Truth is personal or impersonal. As far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Absolute Truth is the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. This is confirmed in every step. In this verse in particular, it is stressed that the Absolute Truth is a person. That the personality of Godhead is the Supreme Absolute Truth is also the affirmation of the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sacinandana Vigraha. That is, the Supreme Absolute Truth, personality of Godhead, is Lord Krishna, who is the primeval Lord, the reservoir of pleasure, Govinda, and in the eternal form of complete bliss and knowledge. These authorities leave no doubt that the Absolute Truth is the Supreme Person, the cause of all causes. The impersonalists, however, argued on the strengths of the Vedic version given in the H.H.Sacinandana Upanishad. Now comes his argument. Tato yat uttat rataram tat aparupam anamaya yaitat vidu amritas te bhavanti atetare dukam eva piyanti. In the material world, Brahma, the primeval living entity within the universe, is understood to be the supreme amongst the demigods, human beings and lower animals. But beyond Brahma, there is the transcendence, who has no material form and is free from all material contaminations. Anyone who can know him also becomes transcendental, but those who do not know him suffer the miseries of the material world. The impersonalist puts more stress on the word arupam, but this arupam is not impersonal. It indicates the transcendental form of eternity, bliss and knowledge, as described in the Brahma Samhita quoted above. Other verses in the H.H.Sacinandana Upanishad substantiate this as follows. Now we will hear two verses about how the Supreme Truth is a person. Vedamitam purusham mahantam adidyavanam tamasa parastat tameva vidvanati mrityumeti nanya panta vidyate janaya yasmat param na param asti kinchit yasman aniyo no jayosti kinchit vriksha ivastapto divitishtatyekas tenedam punam purushena sarvam. I know that Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is transcendental to all material conceptions of darkness. Only he who knows him can transcend the bonds of birth and death. There is no way for liberation other than this knowledge of that Supreme Person. There is no truth superior to that Supreme Person, because he is the supermost. He is smaller than the smallest, and he is greater than the greatest. He is situated as a silent tree, and he illumines the transcendent sky, and as a tree spreads its roots, he spreads his extensive energies. From these verses one concludes that the Supreme Absolute Truth is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all-pervading by his multi-energies, both material and spiritual. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami 27.07.2010 Namaste Saraswati Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vashtatadeshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Mata parataram nanya kinchid asti dhananjaya Mai sarvam idam protam sutramani ganaiva. O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me, as the pearls which are strung on a thread. In his purport to this verse, Srila Prabhupada makes it crystal clear for us that this supreme truth upon whom everything rests is a person, a transcendental person, and he really takes great effort to quote different shlokas from different Upanishads, the Shrutis, to make this point very clear. Why is Prabhupada stressing always so much the personhood of Krishna? It is because only a person is only to a person we can develop a personal relationship. Really, the whole point of practicing Krishna consciousness is to enter into this consciousness of having a relationship with Krishna. This is the most valuable thing in the world. You know, value, there are two types of values. One value is measurable. For instance, if I have a wristwatch like this, it has a measurable value. This is a very cheap one. It's 50 euros, but I can measure the value. A person, and then there is an immeasurable value. Things where you just cannot say what is the price of it. Now, things and objects always have a measurable value, but a person and love to a person always is immeasurable. If we would ask our grihastas, what is the value of your wife? You know, no man can say my wife's value is 20,000 euro and 100 or like this. It's simply not possible to put a value onto a personhood. You can only, it is immeasurable. Or how would you say love, which is exchange between persons, has a certain value. I'm not speaking of the 100 euros love which you can buy in Niederdorf from the bars. That is not love, that's just a flesh business where persons become objects. Persons and the love between persons belongs to the immeasurable category of wealth. And the true wealth is always in that immeasurable category. The wealth of a devotee is not his money, not his cars. we have a James Bond car. Ananda, Chaitanya, myself, we drive with a James Bond car. At the moment, you should see that it's really a hot car. It has a measurable value. But the moment you speak of immeasurable value, the things which you place into this basket or into this department always have to do with persons and with relationships. It's not measurable. You cannot buy it. You cannot say how valuable it is. It is beyond categorization. So the relationship with Krishna is of immeasurable value to a devotee and his real wealth. The moment I try to put wealth or to put value, measurable value on a person, I exploit him. Can you follow? If I would say, this human being is 20,000 euros and I sell it to you, I'm a slave driver who is having a very, very exploitative concept of human beings and the relationships. No, only an exploiter would try to give measurable value on love and on a human being. So what I want to say is, when you approach Krishna with our immeasurable wealth as devotees, you cannot ever approach him as an exploiter. You always must come as a servant. The only way, when you come to a person and the person feels you consider him something you can manipulate and exploit, at that moment the person turns his face away from you. So when you come with this materialistic concept of God, to God, that you can enjoy him, exploit him for your own enjoyment, he turns his face away from you and you have no chance to come close to him. I wanted to say this because when we approach the personhood of Krishna, we have to be very, very careful to enter into the understanding of Krishna in a service attitude. Also, when we hear the Bhagavad Gita, we don't really read the Bhagavad Gita in the sense of gathering information. What we devotees do is we relish our relationship with Krishna when we read the Bhagavad Gita. We hear, no, truth is superior to Krishna, wonderful. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on a thread. Wow, our Lord is so all omnipresent and so on. But as we hear Prabhupada's purport about the personhood of Krishna, at least when I did this in preparation to this class, my mind turned to the place where Krishna's personhood is in the most loving way exhibited. I turned in my mind to a place where I will go this year in the Kartik season, to Govinda Kund. Govinda Kund, when you sit there in the evening as the sun sets and you look at Giriraj Govardhan just before you, you can understand the personhood of Krishna much, much better than anywhere else. Because it is there where Lord Krishna comes with his cows, which he has herded all day, where he comes back to the devotees who wait for him. It's called Uttaragoshta. That is the evening time when the sun sets and Krishna comes home. That is a festival in Vrindavan where the devotees of Vrindavan celebrate their loving relationship with Krishna, and where Krishna's loving relationship to his devotees and the supreme Leela Purushottam, the person of the most attractive pastimes, becomes fully manifested. And I thought, because soon the summer camp starts, I will talk a little bit about Krishna coming home. I want to talk about this subject because I feel just like the devotees in Vrindavan long so much to see their Lord Krishna returning home. A Vaishnava also longs for this. Hare Krishna Sundari. Shitra is da. Good. So, when the sun sets, Krishna, who wants to give pleasure to the devotees in the village who have been longing for him in his absence, sets his steps westwards to Nandagram, and he starts to play the ragas on his flute, which call his cows together, who then all march with the Lord towards Nandagram. That's a very beautiful part of the day. It's slightly cool and refreshing. The hot sun has colored itself a little bit reddish and now moves towards the western horizon. And it's a wonderful atmosphere, and Krishna begins to think again of the gopis as he walks down the dusty paths with his gopas, his friends. Now, as he thinks of his dear devotees, his music playing becomes so absolutely wonderful that the devatas, who are all great singers, Gandharvas and flutists and everything, sitarists and veenists and everything, yeah, sitar amongst us, great musicians in the heavenly planets. We will most probably never play like them. They also come down because they have never heard such flute playing before. And they come and they line the path to see and hear Lord Govinda giving pleasure to the senses with his wonderful musical concerts. They all become audience, so to say, or hearing the flute song. At this time, Mother Yashoda is extremely restless because she feels Krishna is already late. So she sends a very tall gopi, she's very long in size, up the moon tower, the watchtower, to look when will Krishna come with the cows and the cowherd boys. So because she's extra long, extra size, she can see a little bit more into the distance, and she finally sees that cloud of dust which is risen by the hooves of the cows. It is very fine dust, very powder. It's like very fine powder. And so she tells Yashoda, Ma, now your son is coming. And so as the cows walk closer to Nandagram, they begin to feel, oh, here are our cow barns, and they start to run towards Nandagram. But then noticing that Krishna is a little behind, they stop and they turn around. They don't want to go without Krishna to Nandagram, although they want to go to their barns because the calves are there. But they love Krishna even more than their calves, and therefore they turn another time around and walk back away from Nandagram to go to where Krishna comes. Now, invisible to the eyes of the cowherd boys, the cows, all the devatas pay their obeisances to Krishna to say goodbye for the day. But so Krishna then calls all his cows who have come back to him and says, you need to drink a little, and brings him to a lake just before Nandagram. There his jewel-like cows drink in the very nice water of the kundas, the Krishna kunds. Every kund in Vrindavan has a particular name, but if you don't know the particular name, no problem, just call it Krishna kund and you are correct. So it's one of the different Krishna kunds there, and they all drink. And then Krishna now knows it's time to return. So he comes back, he comes towards Nandagram. And the first thing the devotees, Nanda Maharaj and his men and Yashoda Mai and also the beautiful gopis, see in the distance, it's very nicely described in Govinda Lilamrita, they see only a dust cloud in the horizon. This dust cloud comes closer, and as it comes closer, they begin to hear flute music. Not only the flute music of Krishna, but also the flute music of the cowherd boys who try to respond to Krishna's flute music by also fluting, playing on the flute. So that must sound most wonderful, more wonderful than any music our ears have ever heard or our mind has ever imagined, because everyone is stunned to hear this music. And even Anantashesh, who hears this music, closes his eyes and begins to move a little bit ecstatic back and forth, and then he shakes, and as he shakes with ecstatic horripilations, all the planets shake a little. So it's a fascinating concert which is there. And finally, as the Brijvasis look into this cloud of, it's so mystic, of unknowing, they don't see Krishna at this moment. They only hear him as he announces his arrival to the village. All of a sudden, that the dust disappears, and everyone sees Krishna Balaram. From Balaram's body, a whitish light just spreads, and from Krishna, a smaragd, means bluish light, just runs onto the pathway of the Brijvasis, and as they begin to embrace Krishna in their heart, they become totally overwhelmed with the most ecstatic emotions you can measure. It is said that anyone who saw Krishna only a little bit for 7 days could only say Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Krishna melted captures hearts by his beautiful body, but even more he captures the heart by his beautiful face, and even more he captures the heart by the beautiful smile in his face. Krishna's body looks like an ocean of beauty. His face looks like the moon, which comes above this ocean of beauty. And Krishna's smile, just just try to concentrate and hear this patiently. Krishna's smile is like the rays of the moon dancing over the ocean into the eyes of his devotees. It is said in Krishna Karnamrita that on the sound of Krishna's flute, Krishna comes riding, so to say, with his tremendous beauty into the heart of his devotees. Yes. This is what it is said by the realized poet. So the Brijvasis are overwhelmed in the bliss of seeing Krishna. We hear in Brihad Bhagavatamrita that in the absence of Krishna, their life force is no longer with them. Their life has left their bodies. When Krishna left the village, they came to the village gate, and some of them, or most of them, went with him a good part into the forest, but when Krishna finally requested them to return, then they all left, but without their life. That went with Krishna. Or their minds, with their life. So, yes, now a very nice scene is described as Krishna enters the gate and comes with his cows. The beautiful gopis shyly want to raise his attention, and they take, that's how they deal with Krishna, little stones, just very soft little stones, and they throw them on Krishna, and then they look the other direction. And Krishna and looks at the gopis and sees his devotees who give him the greatest amount of pleasure. And then the gopis, it's described, it's so beautiful. They are full of questions. They want to know when will Krishna meet them, and the way they are finding this out is like this. They throw flower petals on Krishna, and on each flower petal there's a little letter. When will we meet? Please tell us. Krishna reads the letter, and to each particular gopi he answered the question. This is what Krishna often does in his Vrindavan pastime. He expands himself in as many forms as devotees are there, and he just runs to them and tells them in their ears their answer to the question. This is described by Sanatana Goswami, by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, how Krishna expands himself quite often. For instance, when he is with his cowherd boyfriends, he noontime comes, which is a little bit hot, and Krishna pretends to be tired. So then the cowherd boyfriends all sit down and make their lap like this, like a perfect cushion. And Krishna then expands himself in as many forms as there are cowherd boys. It lays down on their laps like this. No cowherd boy sees that Krishna has expanded himself into a form to be with the other cowherd boy, but each cowherd boy thinks for himself, Krishna is resting on my lap and only my lap. Krishna very discreetly expands himself, in other words, without any not look at me, I'm expanding myself. But he lovingly expands himself to have a relationship with each devotee. Prabhupada taught us that when we turn to Krishna, especially by chanting his holy name, it's like ringing a telephone, ringing with a telephone, ring, ring, and making contact with Krishna. Krishna is never busy, Prabhupada said. He's for each one of his devotees who wants a sincere relationship through chanting the holy name. Krishna is there just for him. So Krishna also expands and answers the flower letters of the gopis and tells them the answer to their questions. There are many more such nectarian details, but I can see that some of you are falling asleep and I don't want to torture you any longer. So I will now make a point which may be a little bit relevant for all of us. See, when we hear these pastimes, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he points out to us that we should never ever think that Krishna is, and the Yamuna and the land of Vrindavan and the dust of Vrindavan is in any way comparable with mundane things. You know, when we hear these pastimes of Lord Krishna, as we sincerely hear them in a service attitude, we should always keep in mind this is the transcendent realm, totally beyond the mind and the senses. It's very important that we approach Krishna and the pastimes of Krishna in this very respectful mood, not in an exploitative mood where we want to enjoy these pastimes or for our own thing, for our own enjoyment. It is important that we serve these pastimes by staying awake, listening to them and allowing them to make a point to us. The point is that we have a personal relationship to the Supreme Person who is engaging himself in pastimes to attract us back to this relationship of love. When we hear verses like, O conqueror of wealth, there is no truth superior to me. Everything rests upon me as pearls are strung on the thread. We should feel in our hearts, I want a relationship to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. I want to serve Him. Today I visited Rohini Sudha Prabhu and I remembered a very, very ecstatic occasion. 2 years ago, Rohini Sudha Prabhu did something which I thought a devotee only does. He has deities of Krishna and Balaram and Sridham and Subal. And he thought a little bit before Balaram's appearance day, he wants to give pleasure to his deities. It was a hot August, a hot summer, so he decided to bring his deities into the forest near a waterfall where there were fine breezes, nice spray of the water which fell. It was very much like the waterfalls on Govardhan Hill, which Krishna and Balaram used to enjoy so nicely. So he put the deities on a stone. He had a little kunja with nice branches and leaves, and we were sitting there, we were singing to them, we were fanning them, and we were telling them verses and pastimes. There was Pankajangri Prabhu, and our Atma Tattva Prabhu was there, and Bhakta Fritz was there, and many devotees were there. And I was really thinking that this is what devotees do. They understand Krishna as a person, and I can relate to him through doing service to him. And I was very, very happy to participate in this festival, and since then I'm also trying to think like this, that Krishna is a person. I can sing for him, I can please him by doing preaching service for him, by spreading the holy name, and I can serve him by telling the devotees about Krishna's personhood and that it's possible to make a relationship to him. Please never think that this is only for later. There is a passage in the Bhagavatam which I like very much because Prabhupada used to discuss it a lot. It's about Ajamil. And as you know, Ajamil was a sinner, and he started to chant at his last hour, at his deathbed, the names of Krishna, the names of Narayan actually. And when he chanted, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says something very special happened in Krishna's heart. Krishna thought, this man is chanting my name. That means I must protect him. This is just so encouraging. This shows that even though we may not be aware of our relationship with Krishna, Krishna is aware of his relationship to us. He doesn't forget, although we forget. And when we chant his holy name and direct our attention to him, in any way, imperfect as we are, Krishna will think, I must take care of my devotee. I think this is so wonderful that we should all feel encouraged to think about developing a relationship to the wonderful person of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Ah, Krishna, Krishna. This is what I wanted to tell you today. I want to now see if you have any questions, either on what you have heard today, or what you have heard on other days, and which moves in your heart. Here's a question. There's a relationship between Sundar and Bhakta Max. Balaramji.
You mentioned that we cannot actually give a value to a person, a material value.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we see that the description of the devotees is this devotee is more dear to Krishna than this one, this devotee is more dear to... So there are values given to devotees.
That's a very good question. That's why I'm very intelligent devotee. In the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, first section, Narada Muni wants to find out about the devotees. And yes, as he moves from one devotee to another, he finds out that the devotees are, he gives the devotees a value, and he always, I remember when he came back, when he came to the Pandavas, Hanuman had sent him to the Pandavas, and he sees how he goes into the court of Hastinapur and he sees Yudhishthira lamenting, oh, now we are established as kings, but it's not so good because now we are not in danger and Krishna doesn't visit us as often as he used to. Maybe we should get into trouble again so that Krishna visits us, you know. And then he goes like, Narada Muni goes, you are the best devotees, you know. And he says this in their gradations. Now, yes, we have such gradations, but they are not the same decorations as this is 10 euros, this is 100 euros, and this is 1,000 euros. It's not exactly a gradation in mundane values, but it is a degradation, a gradation in love. And here comes an interesting point. Love can never be measured like this. In other words, each one, this comes out in the last section of this verb from which we are now narrating. Each one of the devotees is considered perfect in his relationship to Krishna. There is, and yes, in some ways, this is one of the paradoxes of bhakti. The gopis are considered the most dear devotees of Krishna. That's the end result of this whole work, which shows. But then, each one of the devotees is perfect in his relationship. And there is, and Krishna is happy with them, and they can stay in their relationship. Don't imitate the gopis or so on, if it is their relationship. So in one way, you are happy if we look from one perspective. There is gradation, but because it's a gradation in love, and therefore immeasurable, every love is perfect. For instance, look at the relationship of the little girl Sundari to her parents. We would say this relationship is perfect. There's nothing Sundari, we wouldn't, it's her, and we would not measure her in any way, we wouldn't compare her. It's something unique and something therefore immeasurable. That's as good as I can do on your question, but we have Madhavananda, who is our Pandiji amongst us. Would you like to say something to this question, in answer to this question?
I'm just appreciating your comment, Marja, that when we speak about measurement, we can only measure things that are material.
Yeah.
Spiritual things by nature can't be measured. Just as Krishna is unlimited, so also bhakti or love to Krishna is unlimited. We don't say that we can also maybe try to put a value on Krishna. There's Krishna in Mathura, and there's Krishna in Dwarka, there's Krishna in Vrindavan. But when our acharyas put a value on it, they say it's Purna, Purnatara, and Purnatama. If he's complete, he's more complete, he's the most complete.
Yeah. So
it's a different kind of value system.
Yeah, it's a very different kind of value system. Perfect, more perfect, most perfect. Perfect is already perfect. There is no higher than perfect, but still there's most perfect. But I want to say, I want to say something in answer, because you are very you like to use your intelligence in many in philosophy. I am convinced that the spiritual nature you can only express it in what we would call in our language, in our conceptualization, in paradoxes, because it would sound as a paradox here, that is a paradox, but in the spiritual world there are no paradoxes. It is all contradictions or impossibilities are dissolved. And there are many such paradoxes, but because I have at the moment a cold, about 60% of my brain is not working, so I can't at the moment remember. I have a whole list of paradoxes. Who else wishes to ask a question?
Yes. I had a question which is actually connected to the lecture from yesterday. So I don't know if you want maybe to take my question as the last question, or you were speaking so beautifully about humility, and you were explaining about Haridas Thakur. I was wondering if what can we do to become humble? Does it come only through those earthquakes, only coming from outside when we get chastised or in difficulties? Or can we do actually something from our own to become humble? Can we do something, or it's only coming through circumstances that we will become humble?
In Rupa Goswami's great work of spiritual psychology, humility or dainya is one of the moods which comes in the devotees. And this mood is brought about by 4 causes. It comes when a devotee sees, for instance, that he has committed an offense. It comes when the devotee feels ashamed for something. It comes written down somewhere. It comes in for 4 causes. When he sees his lack of worth and so on. Now, can we do anything? This is your question. To see and to arise this feeling in our heart, and I would say yes. See. Look at yourself and see your actual spiritual position. See, for instance, also where you are in comparison to the holy name or to the kingdom of God. I think you can become humble if you put yourself into a relationship with something which arises this feeling. For instance, I become humble when I see or think of a more worthy person as I am. For instance, in chanting the holy name, I always become humble when I think of Haridas Thakur. When I think of Sundari, I become very proud because Sundari is a child and chants maybe 1 round a day, sometimes a few mantras, and then I become, I'm better, I chant more rounds than Sundari, But if I think of Haridas Thakur, I feel, I've not even started my japa life, So, think yourself also if you feel. I've noted something, and so this putting a relationship to a more qualified person will make you reconsider your case, so to say, if you're really that qualified or not. See, when you stand before an ant, you think you're very big, but if you stand before the Eiffel Tower, you realize I'm very small. So we often like to surround ourselves with ants and then feel that I'm very big. But you should surround yourselves with giants. Rupa Goswami, the Acharyas, your own. And then you can see, oh yeah, you feel very happy. That's one thing to do. What I have noticed is that humility comes in my life when I do a lot of service. And I have really noticed something. I don't know if I'm strange, maybe I am. But the more service I do, the more humble I am. The more things happen around me, the more I understand it's not me. Because, service gives me personally the vision of reality. I want to give an example. I was in Moscow, and the owner of this huge cake factory, we have a devotee in Moscow who owns the biggest cake factory of Russia. He baked such a big cake for the new president, and his cakes you can find in every shop of Moscow, and they are good. I think Banu Nandini ate one cake and liked it. Yes, it's really good. It's really, it's illegal. It's so good. It's really good. That's an American way of saying something is very good. It's maybe not good to say like this in Switzerland. It's fantastic stuff. So, and he has a big music studio, and he wants to make a CD with me. So I'm sitting there in the studio of this devotee who's so rich and who's so capable, and he puts the studio, he puts 1 million switches on, and we hear the music, and he says, "Oh Maharaj, we want to make something with you." And I'm sitting there on the chair, and I notice they all look at me as if I'm something special. I know that I sing like a frog. I can't even keep a sound. I know that my intelligence is very small. I can't remember verses very good. Therefore I write them down. I don't know much about Krishna consciousness. I tend to forget much of it. And I'm sitting on the chair. It was so much service was done over the week, and I'm seeing, Krishna, should I tell the devotees how low class I am? So I start to tell them, and they all go, "Oh, you're so humble, Maharaj," and I'm going like, I can't win on this one. They will all. But Gaurahari, I think when we do service, our heart becomes so purified that we begin to understand, if we are normal, who we are. It is not because of us that anything happens, it's because Krishna just used simple men from North Germany to do some little service, and so on. I think humility this is what I think as I'm getting older, nothing else than a vision of reality. Not so difficult. Just be real. Then you're humble. That's my answer. There can be so many techniques and so many things. This, for instance, follow acharyas and and have your examples, the great persons, and then you naturally see where you are in comparison. But my answer is, I'm a simple man, just be real, then you are humble. What is, we in Kali Yuga, we are born with so many sanskaras, and educated in this world. What do we know about spirituality? Just repeat a little bit and hope that some mercy comes. That's my. I'm sorry. Maybe this is not a satisfying answer, but this is what I think. But I can give you the 4 causes of humility. You can look them up, and that might help you. When I was young like you, I always analyzed things like that. Yeah, it might help. Good. Now, it is 2 minutes before 9 o'clock. That means, as Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj would say, time is also there. Time is also there. I want to thank you all very much, but before you all go, let me just ask the question. What is the, where are we today? I mean, I have this cold, I just can't think very clearly. Is it
Tuesday.
Tuesday, so tomorrow is Wednesday. Tomorrow is Wednesday, and tomorrow is a good day for me. I don't have to travel so much and visit so many people. So the plan is, what is the plan? What?
Also written the lecture for tomorrow morning on the plan.
Yeah, my dear devotees, I would suggest about the morning lecture tomorrow. I'm not so well. Let me chant and read tomorrow. Madhavananda, you are here. You are our lecture giver for tomorrow. You please take my place. I'm a little old man now. I need to pace myself. I'm on this huge tour, and it's quite intense. But I will come around 11 o'clock to the temple, and then devotees who wish to, who are on the list of seeing me, I wanted to say, then I'm really in the temple. I know some of you have tried to catch me in the last few days, but I was always preaching here and there and everywhere. Tomorrow I'm here just for that. Isn't it? And then I go to St. Gallen. If you want, we can all go drive to St. Gallen and do something interesting, and then Gallen, I mean, chanting and then hearing about Krishna. Good. All the best for you, and have a wonderful night. Dream of Krishna Balaram entering the village. And let us be happy in our chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. Good night, everyone, and Hare Krishna!
Hare Krishna.